Hello, and welcome to the Wednesday live stream. If this is the first time you're watching, we're here to help you with your English and help take it to the next level. My name's Craig from mentioningles.com and from inglespodcast.com, where you can study English for free and listen to free podcasts. And with me over there, my friend on the other end, Lynn. How you doing? Good to have you here.
I'm fine, Craig. Nice to be here again. I'll introduce myself too. If you've never joined us before and you haven't heard us, my name is Lynn. My business is called putitlikethis.com, and I'm an online language trainer. So I teach English online. And my speciality is to sort of create courses to suit specific objectives. So most of my teaching is one-to-one. And if you have a specific objective in English, then you can go to my website. You can see some of the types of things that I do, and you can get in touch with me. And then and I'll let you know if I can help you if you have an objective that is unfamiliar to me, or if it's one
unfamiliar to you, unfamiliar to them.
To them, unfamiliar to
right.
me.
To you, yeah,
because,
absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, people have started to join. Hello, Gemma. Thank you for joining again. It's great to see you. Paula's here.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hi,
Aldo,
Gemma. Hi,
long
Paula.
time no see. It's been a while. Yeah. Good to see you here as well, Aldo.
Okay. Where's Aldo from, Craig? Do you know where Aldo's from?
I can't remember. Can you remind us, Aldo, where you're from? Let us know where you're from. And Paula as well. Where's Paula from? She's a regular viewer.
She is. Aldo's from Peru. Paula, I think you're from Colombia. I'm not sure. Gemma's from Spain, aren't you, Gemma?
Gemma's in Madrid, yeah.
Gemma's in Madrid. And there's also Arturo. Can you see Arturo there? Aguilar?
No, that was from last week. I don't know why Arturo's message is in there.
Sorry, Paula, you're not from Colombia. You're from Argentina. Well, right continent, wrong country. Sorry. Hello to Argentina.
Before we start, you might be watching live, and thank you if you are. We've just said hello to you. You might be watching the replay. So if you're watching after the fact, if you're watching the video, thank you for doing this. We are here every 2 weeks, and sometimes I jump on in the middle on a Wednesday to help you with your English. So please come back next week or in 2 weeks' time, and we'll be here again.
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about today?
Well, today we're talking about health and fitness. But because there's so much to talk about, Craig and I were just saying before we started that maybe we might only be talking about health today, and then maybe another time we might talk about fitness. Depends on how much you join us and how much you've got to say about health.
And how many questions you have, because we're very happy to answer any questions you might have about English. Although I might not be able to help you with health and diet. I'm going to rely heavily on Lynn for this.
No. Well, first of all, we have to have a disclaimer here. We are not health or fitness experts.
Look, obviously
we're only here to help you. We're only here to help you talk about this topic in English. So we provide the vocabulary, but we take no responsibilities for any advice that we might have.
No, absolutely not. So let's look at some vocabulary. And the first word, Lynn, I have no idea what it is. I hope you do. The food pyramid. What is now? Is that where you put food one on top of the other?
It is the food pyramid. I put that in because it's when anybody talks about health, they talk about diet as well with health. So eating. And then there is this food pyramid, which is like a triangle. And at the bottom, they have carbohydrates. And in the middle layer, they have fats, I think. Sorry. They have carbohydrates. Then I think they have proteins. And then at the top, they have fats. And it's supposed to be like the order or the quantity of foods. So, for example, carbohydrates, you're supposed to eat a lot of. Well, like bread and pasta and things.
Potatoes.
Then you have actually, maybe it's not, now that I'm thinking, maybe it's not carbohydrates, fat, it's none of that. It's a pyramid, and it's got pictures of different foodstuffs that you can eat. So at the bottom level, it's things like bread and pasta and rice, and you're supposed to have those with more frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the middle, there's another layer, and it shows you things that you can eat, like not daily, not every day, not in huge quantities, but like that could be like fish and meat and things. Yeah. And then at the top of the pyramid, where it's very small, they have the food things that you're not supposed to eat so often, that
Like
you're just
sugars and
occasionally, like sugars
yeah.
and lots of fats and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. Mhm. That's the
So a
food pyramid.
balanced diet. It's important to have
Yeah.
a balanced diet. And as
Uh-huh.
Aldo says, the essentials our body needs. Yeah.
Essentials with an S, Aldo. Essentials, because it's like
Essentials.
essential things. Uh-huh. And the food pyramid, the reason I put that there is because the food pyramid is sort of the stand. Has the doctor never given you a picture of the food pyramid? They
No.
learn it in schools as well. They teach you it in schools, or they did when I went to school, and also here in Spain, I'm sure they teach the food pyramid. Maybe the people who are from South America, you can tell us if this is familiar to you or not, this triangle of foods.
Mm-hmm.
And I read, I think it was about a year or so ago, that the food pyramid was invented, I believe, like, I don't know, the 50s or 60s last century. But now it was always the standard, like, wisdom, the received wisdom of eating. But recently it's been coming under criticism that it's actually not the right way to eat. But I don't know any more about that. I just teach you the words food pyramid.
So if we do have any experts in the
Do you have
chat,
any experts?
people who know more than we do, let us know. I mean, if we're giving the wrong information, I hope we're not, but please help us with this. We are here to help you with your English, not with health advice.
But Paula is helping us. That's right. Thank you, Paula. I'm sorry. I started off very badly. I should have researched this before I came on live. But Paula says the food pyramid is changing all the time. Some medical advisors say that proteins are at the base of the pyramid. I seem to have in memory that it was carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And then I was doubting because I thought maybe it's just the food pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But now that Paula's saying that, that's probably where my confusion's coming as well, because I think I had read, like Paula, that people are now changing their ideas about what we should eat more of and what we should eat less of.
And that's why it's so confusing, because there's such conflicting advice. And one week we're told that this is good for you and that's bad for you. And then the next week or the next month, everything changes. But let's make sure we're on the right page with these expressions, and notice the pronunciation: carbohydrates. Carbohydrates. Now, they are, as you said earlier, bread, potatoes, what else?
Pasta.
Pasta, yeah. And rice.
Yes, rice too, I think.
And then we come on to fats, and we've got two
Can
types of fats.
Can you go back to carbohydrates? Because it really is a difficult word to say that, because it's got a lot of syllables in it. The middle syllable, O, we don't say O, we say carb. Carb, and then the other one is, many people want to say hydrates, but it's not, it's high, like, hi, Craig, right? So carbohydrates. Yeah, carbohydrates. And if you really don't like the word, you can call them carbs.
Carbs, yeah, that's
a lot of
the
people
abbreviation.
Call them carbs.
Don't forget to eat your carbs. And then we've got fats. Well, that's quite easy to say, but we've got our saturated and unsaturated fats. And then we mentioned proteins, very important.
And proteins are things like meat and
fish.
pulses pulses are things like lentils, beans. They're called pulses. I don't think we put that on a thing, but
Pulses
pulses are
and
very important.
legumes.
And legumes.
And then you've got your fiber.
Mm.
What are examples of fiber? Because I know you can have bread that has more fiber. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's the good part of the grain, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
So,
And
for example, brown rice has more fiber than white rice, and brown bread
that's
has
right.
more fiber than white bread.
Because it hasn't been refined. And you get a lot of fiber as well from fruits and vegetables too. I think fiber are the parts of the food that is not easy to digest. And then your body doesn't break them down so much. And so it helps the movement in your intestine.
Milena says soy de sopo, uh, Colombia. Is that some kind of food, Milena, or is that where you're from in Colombia? I'm not too sure. Soy might be soya. I'm not sure. Or maybe that's where you're from. Please let us know, Milena, what you mean
Mm-hmm.
there. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, another source of protein, we use the word source, a source of fat, a source of energy, a source of protein. Eggs are a
Mm.
great source of
Eggs.
protein.
Mm-hmm. And Milena has said she's from Sopo
Oh,
in
right. Okay.
Colombia.
So nothing to
That's
do with
great.
food. That's where you're from. So
All right, yeah. And Paula's put a little word up there, which is a difficult one to pronounce. Vegetables. So vegetables.
3 syllables, not
Vegetables.
4.
3 syllables, not vegetables.
And you stress the first
Vegetables.
syllable. The first syllable is the strong syllable. Vegetables. Vegetables.
Vegetables. Good. Uh-huh.
Hi, Heidi. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. And
Yeah.
Ramon, hello to you. And whole
Uh-huh.
grains. Yes,
And
and
whole
whole
grains.
grains.
Yeah, that's a good
Exactly.
source of fiber.
A good source of
That's right.
fiber. And then we've got,
Okay.
as Lynn said, at the top of the pyramid, the stuff that really you shouldn't have too much of, sugars. Although when I think of sugar, I tend to think of refined white sugar and sweets and chocolates, although there's sugar in fruit.
Yes. Now I remember that actually quite seriously, because when I was pregnant with my daughters, sometimes pregnant ladies, they get pregnant women, we get a problem with the sugar levels in our blood. And when I was pregnant, I had diabetes. I don't normally have diabetes. I haven't got diabetes now, but when I was pregnant, I had pregnancy diabetes, and it's quite
Is that
dangerous.
dangerous? Yeah.
Well, it can be if your sugar levels get really, really high. So there was a period where I did have to measure, like diabetics, I had to measure my blood sugar twice a day. And it was amazing because I actually don't eat a lot of sugars. I haven't really got a sweet tooth. I eat a lot of salty things. And I discovered when I was pregnant, the things that I couldn't eat was fruit. If I had an orange juice, my blood sugar went through the through the ceiling. It was incredible. It went really, really high. So it wasn't from eating chocolate or sweets or anything like that, but it was actually from fruit. And there's some fruit that is really high in sugars. So if you have a problem with sugars, it's a problem eating fruit. Thank goodness I was lucky that after I had my children, the diabetes just settled back
And
to
it's never
normal, and
come
it's
back.
never come back. No, it only came back to me in my pregnancies.
Interesting.
So I'm hoping, touch wood. I don't know if you know that expression, touch wood. We have to touch wood. It's like a superstition. You press your head because my head is made of wood. Touch wood, meaning like I hope I don't get it again. I really do hope I don't get that again.
Fingers crossed. And Aldo has mentioned another source of sugars, raisins, which are dried grapes.
Grapes, yeah.
And we call those kind of dried fruits, and nuts, well, dried fruit. Dried fruit, raisins, and dried apricots. Sultanas is another one, a good source of sugar. Hi, Cecilia. She's joining us from Chile. Good to see you with us as well.
Yeah, hi.
So we've got our sugars, we've got our carbohydrates, we've got our fiber and our protein. Now, there are different types of diets,
Mm-hmm.
and I've heard of one or two of these, but not many. Let's
Mm-hmm.
have a look at them. Now, we've just looked at the pronunciation of vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Add one more syllable, and then you get the word vegetarian, but the stress changes. So
Mm-hmm.
whereas let's start here. No, let's start here. Vegetables has the stress on the first syllable. Vegetarian, oh no, it's 6, isn't it? No, it's 5. Veg. I'm, I need more fingers, Lynn. I need more fingers. Vegetarian. It's
Rian.
5
5.
syllables.
Uh-huh.
And the
Mm-hmm.
stress moves to the middle finger, the middle syllable. So
Mm-hmm.
vegetarian.
Vegetarian. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Vegetarian. That's a
Vegetarian.
diet, vegetarian, and
Mm-hmm.
vegan
And
is another
vegan,
one.
yeah. Mm-hmm. So vegetarian, I'm sure that I think these are becoming popular all over the world now, vegetarian and vegan diets. Vegetarian is when you don't eat meat or fish, and vegan is more let's say more it's a stricter version of that, because you don't eat anything that is an animal product.
No
So
eggs.
vegans won't have eggs, they don't eat milk or dairy produce, so nothing that comes from any animal source is a vegan diet, whereas a vegetarian is just not eating meat or fish. But there are vegetarians who eat fish. I know that there are lots of other words now because it's becoming very popular. So I have heard some people saying pescatarian for people who only eat fish and things. But vegetarian is the more generalized one. That's the more mainstream one, I would say. And then vegan. Mm-hmm.
Ramon says that added sugars in processed foods are another problem. Yes, a very
Yeah.
big problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that can lead to obesity,
Uh-huh.
or cause obesity and extreme overweight.
Uh-huh. And also diabetes, because we mentioned diabetes earlier, that I had it in pregnancy, but a lot of people now across the world are getting diabetes. And from what they say, from what I've read, they are blaming a lot the fact that most of our processed foods now are extremely high in sugar, and that is damaging our own body mechanism for dealing with sugars. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also fat. It's high in saturated fat, some food as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Gemma says that she prefers a balanced diet. That's very
Mm-hmm.
wise, very clever,
Mm-hmm.
Gemma. And that's one of the words up here, a
Yeah,
balanced
but
diet.
notice, Hema, that we have a D on the end. It's not a balanced diet, it's a balanced
Balance.
diet. The thing is, in the pronunciation, it's not easy to hear that D. But it's there. It is there in the written. So it's a balanced diet. The thing is, we swallow it, really. We don't want to say a balanced diet.
Was
But
that
it's there.
intended, that joke? We swallow it?
No.
Paula, speaking of swallowing things, Paula's saying that I'm not sure if I agree with this, Paula. Butter is better than different kinds of oils. I think it depends which
Mhm.
kind of oils, because olive oil has the positive, good kind of fats, and butter, I think, has the negative fats. Is that right, Lynn?
I think
That
butter,
can
they say
cause
it's saturated fats
cholesterol.
because butter has more animal fats in it.
Yeah,
But I have to say that personally, Paula, I agree with you. I think, first of all, butter is fantastic. I love butter.
me too.
So for me, butter is really better than any kind of oil. And I think I agree with you, Paula, to a degree that, I mean, apart from olive oil is a very natural oil, especially the virgin olive oil. So it hasn't been processed. But many of the oils that are on the market now are actually processed. And people are now beginning to say that there are other difficulties coming from the process of the oils, which are harmful to your health. And so I know that at the moment there is a return to butter. Mm-hmm.
It's interesting how you pronounce
It's
butter.
butter.
Butter. In the
Butter.
south of England, it's butter with an R.
Butter.
And
Mhm.
when where Lynn's from, it's butter with a
Butter.
sound. Butter.
Butter. Mhm.
Heidi says, I didn't know we have to say I'm a vegetarian. I think you can say both. Do you agree, Lynn? You can
Mm.
say I'm
I'm a
vegetarian or
vegetarian.
I'm
I'm
a
a
vegetarian.
vegetarian.
Sounds correct to me both ways. I don't know
Yeah, I
if you
think
agree.
it's both ways because it's whether you regard whether you're saying it as a noun, like I'm an English woman, or I'm English. It's like whether you're using the noun or the adjective. So either is possible. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Paula said, yeah, she's clarified that
Mm-hmm.
extra virgin olive oil and coconut oil, very healthy,
Coconut oil.
are better than, yeah, they're better for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I prefer butter on my toast, to be honest. But that's me. I'm British,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so
One thing that I've definitely gone away from, or I've gone off, we have a verb to go off, which is when you change your habits. And one of the habits that I think the thing that I've really gone off now is that many years ago, as a replacement for butter, I used to buy other types of spreads. So there were
with
things like
saturated fats.
well, I mean, margarine is the most common one, but then they started bringing out all these different types of margarine. And some of them were like, it tastes like butter, or
I
I
can't
can't
believe it's
believe
not
it's
butter.
butter. One was called I can't believe it's not butter, or there was low fat butter. And these were combinations of butter, but mixed with lots of different oils. And I have to say, I'm very skeptical of those, apart from the fact that they taste disgusting, which
Yeah,
most of them do. I've become very skeptical. I've gone off them because they seem to me to be too processed now.
yeah, I
Mm,
agree. Absolutely.
mm. So I'd rather have real butter or olive oil, sort of thing. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
what else have we got here? Slimming diets, a balanced diet that
Mm-hmm.
Hammer mentioned, low fat diet, sugar-free diet, gluten-free, obviously without gluten, and lactose-free. Have you heard
Mm-hmm.
of the keto diet? That's another diet that I've heard of.
I've heard. I don't
Keto.
know what it is, though. Do you know what it is? What they have in the
I
keto
think
diet?
it's based around meat. I don't think you're allowed to eat carbohydrates, so it's a
Oh,
lot
okay.
of
So it's
steak,
very high in protein. Mm-hmm.
very, very high in protein. I
Mm-hmm.
think, but
Mm-hmm.
as we said at the beginning, we're not experts. So
Mm-hmm.
if you disagree, please tell us.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Keto.
many of the slimming diets of the last 10, 15 years, many of the slimming diets have focused on having low fat and low carbohydrate, and high protein. So I know other diets like the Scarsdale diet,
What's
the
the
South Beach
Scarsdales?
diet.
What's that?
It was named after a doctor in America, and they were very,
Oh,
very popular, very famous diets. And they were full of protein with very limited fats and very limited or no carbohydrates. So the keto is probably a variation of that type of diet.
yeah.
But they
Paula
are
says it's plenty of meat.
yeah,
Yeah.
but they are also not without controversy now, because
Hmm.
there is a lot of studies now that say that a lot of women in the last 20, 30 years who've been following those diets, they're actually dying sooner. Their life expectancy is reduced. So I have read, I mean, you never know about these articles, but I have read that with long-term studies now of low fat, low carbohydrate diets, it's reducing life expectancy. So,
Interesting. Yeah.
mhm.
That's what I was
So we
saying
don't really
before.
know. Hmm.
1 month it's the flavor of the month, which means it's the most popular thing this month. Everybody's talking about it. It's very popular. And then the
Hmm.
next month, no, it's not good for you. So these
Hmm.
trends make me very suspicious. But one thing you should be very careful of, and that is reducing your cholesterol.
Hmm.
Especially as you get older, it's a good idea to watch your cholesterol levels and obviously do exercise and eat healthily so that you reduce your cholesterol level. Be
Hmm.
careful of that word as well because there's a ch at the beginning, but the sound is k, so it's
Hmm.
cholesterol. Cholesterol.
Mm-hmm.
What other vocabulary do we have? Vitamins, very important. Vitamin A, vitamin
Vitamin
C,
C. Mm-hmm.
vitamin D. Get your
Mm-hmm.
vitamins. Do you take supplements? Have you ever taken pills to
Uh,
increase vitamin intake?
I have occasionally, but I'm a bit skeptical about whether they're any good, to be honest with you. They're very expensive from the pharmacy.
Are they?
And yeah, very expensive vitamin supplements. They can be very expensive. And whenever I've asked the doctor seems to say that if you eat balanced diet and you
You
haven't
don't need them?
actually got a vitamin deficiency, because there are some diseases where people cannot. I know my dad was anemic, pernicious anemia. You don't have B12, or I
Mhm.
think it's B12. So so he had to have injections. Yeah. So there are some medical conditions where you cannot generate it or absorb it, and so you need to take a supplement. But the doctors, whenever I've asked them, they've always said to me, I've said, should I take vitamins? They say, if you're eating a balanced diet, you don't need to take vitamins. And they also said that there are some vitamins that it doesn't matter how much you eat, you cannot absorb more than a certain amount anyway. I
Well,
think
that's what I've always thought, but
vitamin
then
C is a classic of that. Everybody knows that
yeah,
vitamin C is very good for you,
citrus
but
fruit, oranges,
uh, but a
lemons.
lot of people have problems absorbing vitamin C, because if you eat it, or if you have like the supplement with certain foods, it prevents the absorption of it. So I think that's also true of iron. I know that if you have an iron deficiency,
Mhm.
when you take an iron tablet, for example, you can't take an orange juice. Oh no, you can take an orange juice because that helps the absorption. But
Right.
what you can't do is have a glass of milk with an iron tablet, because that stops the
It
absorption.
cancels the effect,
Hmm.
yeah. But
Yeah. So
I
I don't
agree. I
know.
mean, I've always thought just if you eat a balanced diet, you don't need these supplements. But then when you watch American TV series, they're always popping and taking these supplements,
Hmm.
and they're always adding extra vitamins to their body. And I think,
Well,
well,
Aldo takes he's just said, Aldo says he takes a B complex every day. I've heard about that too. Why do you do that, Aldo? If you can share that with us, it's up to you. But is that because you do you notice that it helps you? Uh-huh.
and also, Aldo, do you know where, which type of food, in which type of food B complex are found? Because I have no
Mm-hmm.
idea where you would naturally get that
Mm-hmm.
vitamin from.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a B complex, Craig, means it's several B vitamins like B6, B12, B1,
Okay, okay.
but it's like together in one tablet. I think that's what he means by the complex. It's not a specific vitamin. Uh-huh.
Ramon
Yeah.
said that, yeah, exercise is very important. Absolutely, totally
Mm-hmm.
agree.
Mm-hmm.
And Ramon says that vegans, do you say
Vegans.
vegans?
Vegans.
What did I say? Vegans? No,
Mm-hmm.
vegans, isn't it? Vegans
Vegans.
need a vitamin 12 supplement.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
vegans also a B12. That's B12. I know that because my daughter's vegan. So yeah, you've got to really watch that, because that's a vitamin that comes through animals.
Yeah,
And because they're not eating meat, then you're not, in a sense, it's difficult to have that balanced diet in that sense. So they have to take supplements for certain vitamins because they're only found from animal products.
absolutely.
Yeah. Mhm.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Absolutely true, Alex. Couldn't have said it better myself. An apple a day. I
That's a
wonder
very
where that's
famous
from.
saying,
Where's that
isn't it? An
from?
apple a day keeps the doctor away. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
So, where were we? Vitamins, calories. Yeah, food has
Hmm.
calories. You are supposed to count calories if you're on a calorie controlled diet.
Hmm.
That's something I've never done, but I
Have
know
you
people
not?
who have. No,
Oh,
I've
I
never.
have.
No, have you?
I think, yeah, I think it's a
It's
bit,
a
sometimes
pain,
that,
isn't it? It's a pain
honestly,
in the
it is a pain.
neck.
And I think that I really do think that's a male female thing as well for our generation. I don't know about the generation now,
Mhm.
but in our generation, all the women I know my age, nearly all of them have done a calorie controlled diet at some stage. And all the men your age, they couldn't never have done that. They never bothered about it.
No.
So I think that's a female male thing for our generation. I'm not sure now, because I think a lot of young people are very conscious. Boys, young men, as well as young women, are very concerned with their body appearance now, more so
Yeah.
than when we were younger. When we were younger, definitely I was.
Well, I always think it also there are more females who are conscious of their body appearance than there are men. I
Yeah.
don't have statistics on that, but my guess is women tend to worry about it more and diet more than men.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's
but
very
I agree
common.
with you. I think it's changing. I think the younger generation, they definitely drink less alcohol. They definitely keep fitter. So it's a good thing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Magnesium. Celia
Ah, yeah.
says magnesium's very good. She takes it every day and it makes her feel strong.
Wow. That's
Where's magnesium from? What food gives us magnesium?
I don't
Not
know.
sure. Do you know,
No.
Cecilia?
But I have also heard about that, about magnesium.
Paula as well takes magnesium
Oh,
supplements.
really? And it's important to balance calcium. Ah, okay.
Wow, we're learning so much, Lynn, today. It's
Yeah.
great.
Well, I mean, I think the thing is, there is a lot of research into food. There's more research into food and foodstuffs than there has ever been before. And I think they do discover, I mean, we all know that bones, for example, for bone health, you need calcium. But then they say you have to have calcium when you're younger. You can't, for example, suddenly start eating lots of calcium when you're 60 and it repairs all your
Yeah.
bones. So
No.
they are discovering more and more things, and maybe these magnesium supplements to balance calcium, maybe that, I don't know, Paula, maybe you can help me. Is that something new now that you've heard that is
I
good?
found the source of magnesium. Whole grains and dark green leafy vegetables are good
Mm-hmm.
sources of magnesium. Low-fat milk and yogurt contain
Mm.
magnesium as well. Dried beans and legumes such as soybeans, baked beans, lentils, peanuts,
Mm-hmm.
and almonds and cashew nuts provide
Provide magnesium.
magnesium.
Ah, well, then now I can tell you I don't need magnesium supplement because I eat all of that every day.
That's right.
No,
You
really.
know,
I drink low fat milk. I like yogurt. I love baked beans, and I eat peanuts and nuts every day.
fantastic. There you go.
So there you are. Magnesium. You can just have a bite of me.
You like spinach?
Not so much. It's not.
I
I
I
mean, I do
can't
eat it.
stand sp
I
I
try
hate
to eat it
spinach.
once a week, but it's not my
Oh,
favorite. No,
hate
no.
spinach.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
My wife loves it. She eats a lot of
Yeah,
spinach.
my daughter, my vegan daughter, the one who's vegan, she loves spinach too. She eats it nearly every day. Yeah.
Stimulants. Obviously, alcohol is a stimulant. It stimulates your nervous system and your brain, and so does coffee and tea. Obviously, caffeine is
Mm-hmm.
a stimulant,
Mm-hmm.
and I drink too much coffee. I probably drink about 3 or 4 cups a day
Mm-hmm.
of strong Spanish coffee and maybe a
Mm-hmm.
cup of tea as well. So, yeah, I have too much caffeine.
Mm-hmm. I'm not better than you in that. In fact, I think I'm worse. I live on stimulants.
Do you drink more coffee or tea?
Tea. I have
Tea.
about 6 or 7 cups of tea a day, and I'm not talking about a cup. I'm talking about a mug. So I have a mug. I usually have about 6 mugs of tea a day,
Wow,
easily.
that's a lot of
And
caffeine.
funnily enough, it doesn't affect my sleeping patterns at all. I have to have one in the morning. That's how I know that it's a stimulant, because I think I get up in the morning and I am addicted. I need a cup of tea before I can
Mm.
start the day. So I am addicted. So I have it at the beginning of the day, but the last thing I do before I go to bed is have a cup of tea.
Really? With
Yeah.
caffeine?
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, I mean, a tea has tein, doesn't it? But they
But
say
we
it's just
have
as strong.
We buy the decaffeinated tea.
You buy decaf? No, not me.
And
I buy the
that's what
proper
I have.
tea. I brought
Yeah.
the normal tea, and I mean, I'm having it. I think today I've probably had about 6 already, and I'll be having another one before I go to bed. And then, just for a change, my other stimulant is gin and tonic or a beer.
So when you feel
I don't have that many of those though every day. I don't have those daily, but
when you
I try
feel
to
maybe
confine myself to the weekends.
when you feel like you get the impression maybe you're drinking a bit too much tea, then
Tea,
you
I'll have a
switch
gin
to
and
gin and
tonic.
tonic. Good.
Exactly.
That's why you're so productive, and you always seem to be working because you're fueled by tea. You know
Tea.
those websites that say powered by WordPress? At the
Oh
bottom of
yeah.
your website, put it like this. You should put
Powered by tea.
powered by Tetley's. Yeah, Paula's saying that this magnesium thing, which I had not heard of, she says it's something new, like
Oh, okay.
we can say a fad, perhaps,
Uh-huh.
FAD, which is a spike of interest, a peak of interest in something, a
Mm-hmm.
temporary interest.
Mm-hmm.
And Haiti takes magnesium every day, but it's very expensive in Argentina.
It's interesting though, because Paula's also from Argentina. So maybe it's very, very popular in Argentina, this magnesium. Here I haven't, I mean, I've heard of magnesium, but I haven't heard it. It's not such a common thing, is it, that people are taking magnesium? I have heard, like Aldo said earlier, about the B complexes. I have heard about that a lot of people are taking B complexes, but I'd never heard about the magnesium supplement.
Interesting. Well, I've got a question
Mhm.
for Paula and Heidi and anybody else listening from Argentina. You drink over there, you drink mate. Does mate
Oh yeah,
have
what's that?
caffeine? Does mate have caffeine? Or I know it's herbs, a leafy herb, and with hot
Mhm.
water, obviously, but does it have caffeine? Is it a stimulant or
Mhm.
or not? I'd like
Mhm.
to know, please. So let me know if you know, Heidi, Paula,
Mhm.
or any other Argentinians.
Mhm. Who are
Um,
there?
and Reynaldo says, "What about where tea comes from?"
Where the tea comes from. Uh-huh. Well,
Mine
I
comes from
mean,
the supermarket. Is that what from the
mine
box,
comes from
the tea bag?
no, no, I mean, I think it's about the idea. I mean, sometimes people talk about tea in very general terms. So they have herbal teas. Herbal teas are not
Yeah,
addictive at all, and they're not stimulants. Yeah, you can have fruit teas, you can have mint teas, you can have chamomile teas. All of those are not addictive at all. But the tea that Craig and I are talking about is good old English tea, which
yeah.
is not from England, but it's from Ceylon, it's from Sri Lanka, India. And I personally, I love Darjeeling tea, which is the standard black tea. People call it black tea.
Is that the tea
And
you drink during the day?
all the time.
Darjeeling.
But I drink it with milk. I like PG tips. It's a mixture of it's a blend. But if I can't get that, then I'll get Darjeeling tea.
And
I
do
don't
you have
like
sugar in it?
no,
Okay.
just a little bit of milk.
Paula says that tea has mateina, which is a
It's a stimulant,
stimulant. Be
not a
careful of
stimulate,
pronunciation because
stimulant.
it's very common, especially if you're a Spanish speaker, to put that before an S.
Hmm.
For example, well, stimulate. So it's not
Hmm.
estimulate, it's just stimulate or a stimulant.
Uh-huh.
Stimulant.
Uh-huh. Yeah. You're hearing maybe, Paula, the because of course we're using the article a. Yeah, it's a stimulant. And when we put that in fast speech, that a is pronounced like a schwa. It's a, it's a.
It's a
And then we say it's a stimulant. And you think you're hearing a stimulant, but you're not. Right. And that's why we don't say an a stimulant. No, because
no.
there's no need for an because it doesn't start with a vowel. Mhm. It's a stimulant. Mhm.
Speaking of
Okay.
stimulants, and we've also got junk food,
Mhm.
which is anything really that's bad for you. It's sometimes called fast food as well. So
Mhm.
here we're talking about pizza, hamburgers, McDonald's, Burger King,
Mhm.
all the kind of food that has saturated fats and lots of sugar in it.
And is
And
very processed, I think.
processed food. Yeah,
Processed
exactly.
food, because there's a lot, I don't know in South America, but here in Spain now I've noticed that increasingly every year the shelves in the supermarkets are filling up now with ready-made microwavable food. So the meal is all made and you put it in the microwave and then you eat it. And that didn't, like 20 years ago when I came to Spain, you couldn't see that. You saw that in England a little bit, and obviously in America for many, many more years. But here in Spain, it was, you couldn't find a meal that you could put in the microwave 20 years ago. And now I'm quite surprised because you have whole aisles in the supermarkets full of those ready-made meals. And I think even though those ready-made meals look healthy, if you read the labels, there's an awful lot of processed food in those. So it doesn't look like a hamburger, but you think you're eating something healthy, but in effect, I don't really think you are, you know?
No, no. Unfortunately, my sister eats a lot of the pre-prepared, pre-made food,
Like
and
lasagna, or like
yeah,
a
it's very
ready-made
bad for you.
lasagna, or a ready-made,
Yeah.
mhm,
And I can understand it if people are busy, they don't have time to cook maybe. But, if you do have time, it doesn't take long. Cook from,
mhm,
we can say from scratch. To scratch is to do this, but to cook from scratch or prepare something from scratch is to prepare food from the beginning, from the
mhm,
raw vegetables
mhm,
and meat. Start from the actual products themselves.
mhm,
Milena,
mhm.
I think it's probably your problem, your end, because we're hearing everything okay here. So maybe it's a connection problem with your end, but you can watch the replay, which you should
Mhm.
you should be okay with.
Mhm.
Um, so it's a good idea to have moderate consumption. To
Mhm.
consume food is to take it in, and we can also use the word intake.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
moderate your intake and your consumption
Mhm.
of food.
Mhm.
And let's move
And
on. Yes,
I
sorry.
think I think sorry, there's another phrase with everything in moderation. And when we didn't have that on a banner, I didn't put it down. But if you eat in moderation, after all these years of trying lots of different things to eat, I have come to the conclusion that if you eat everything in moderation, automatically you have a balanced diet, and
Hmm.
automatically you actually are eating everything that you should be eating. Uh-huh. The problem is I think we tend to have something that we like, and then we want more and more and more of the one thing that we like. And then it's when we're not eating in moderation, then it's a real problem, isn't it? Mhm. You're on mute, Craig. You've muted your microphone by accident. There.
Yeah, I was coughing, sorry. And also, when I
Mm.
was younger, my mum always made me eat everything on the plate. Finish
Mhm.
your food, Craig. Finish it up. Empty your plate. And she used to give us a lot of food.
Mhm.
So I think I've grown up with that and it stayed with me.
Mhm.
And instead of stopping eating when I feel full,
Mhm.
I feel the need to clean and empty my plate.
Mm.
So I
Mhm.
think it's important also to be aware of when you're hungry and eat when you're
Mhm.
hungry, and also stop eating when you feel
Mhm.
full. So listen to your body.
Mhm. But on the other hand, your mother's advice, I think, is useful, because I mean, I'm a mum and I had to do this with my kids. Is that if you're trying to give people a balanced diet, maybe on the plate you have meat, you have vegetables, you have meat and vegetables, basically, right? And of course, if you don't encourage your children to eat everything on the plate, the problem is that they don't eat balanced, right? So they eat the things they like and they leave the things they dislike or
Yeah.
that they like less. So one of the I think the key, it is good to try to eat everything that is on your plate. The problem now is that we tend to make portions so much bigger than they were in the past. And so, of course, if you have a plate that is full of food and you still think you should eat all of it, then you're actually overeating. Yeah. And I think the reverse of, like, when you say only eat when you're hungry, I'm not sure about that either. Because I think if you eat at regular times and you make a proper sort of, that you sit down to eat something, that you're not eating on the go,
But don't you think
then,
there's some days when you're doing more exercise and moving more than other days, so you need to eat more or maybe at a different time? Sometimes life gets in the way
well,
and
I
you're not
know, but the
always.
problem is with that is that if you don't eat at regular times, what happens is your blood sugar peaks and falls and peaks and falls. And when your blood sugar is, I think it's at a peak, no, when it falls, you get
Mhm.
ravenously hungry. And if it's between meals, you might feel so hungry that you grab something to assuage your hunger, but it's not a tiny snack. It's a hamburger, or it's a packet of crisps, or
Mhm.
it's a chocolate bar. And then you have your proper meal. And
Yeah.
then really you don't need a proper meal, but you have your meal and you eat everything that's on your plate. And those kind of eating habits are not healthy in the long run. For me, I've found that they're not healthy. So I try to eat very strictly at similar times each day.
And
Uh-huh.
your big meal, I'm guessing your big meal is in the middle of the day and you have
Yeah,
a
I have
light
it at
snack in the
lunchtime.
evening
Yes. And then I have a light snack in the evening. Yeah.
with a cup of tea.
With my cup of tea and then my gin
Hemmer
and tonic.
Hemmer agrees with you 100%. And
Uh-huh.
Felipe says that in Chile, by law, the pre-made meals, or pre-packed, we can also say pre-made, pre-packed,
Mhm.
pre-cooked meals have seals on them with phrases like
Ah,
high in sugar. That's a good idea.
mhm.
Yeah,
It
to
is.
prevent obesity. And
But I
Paula says,
think I'm not sure
mm,
whether it really prevents obesity, to be honest with you. Because I mean, cigarettes have massive warnings on them. This is bad for your health and leads to cancer. In Spain, or I think it's in Europe now, they have these horrendous photographs of
yeah,
very
black
nasty
black
things.
lungs and
And it doesn't really put people off smoking. I think it just is a way for the companies to think, yeah, I've done my job. I
mm.
don't really think that stops people eating. Mm,
We should be aware about obesity and all kinds of diseases that produce this pandemic of
mhm.
obesity nowadays. Yeah, it is a problem in some
It is.
countries more than others, but
Mhm,
definitely
mhm,
it's become a problem.
mhm.
And maybe people who are obese should not get healthcare.
Oh, I don't agree with that. That's extremely controversial, Craig, to say something like that.
Well, if they can't control what they're eating, and it's not a medical issue, it's
Mhm,
gluttony, which is just eating and overeating, then
mhm,
they're making themselves unhealthy. And should other taxpayers pay for that?
mhm. Well, yeah, but no, I think they should pay for that, because I think, I mean, in some cases, yes, it could be through bad habit, but there are other reasons why people eat. Sometimes they're not healthy mentally. Sometimes it's a question also of income, because a lot of the highly processed junk food is very cheap.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Funnily enough,
So
the
of
problems with
course it's all
obesity in
it's all right
America.
saying, yeah, you shouldn't, you should just eat less. But the question is, that's also related to social economic issues. If you
Yeah.
have a certain level of income that you can afford to cook every day, because you have not only money but time as well, yeah,
Or
and
money,
very,
or money
very,
to pay somebody to cook for you.
or money to pay somebody to cook for you, to eat healthily. But some people who are very poor, they have no time because they're working all the time, and B, the money that they have, they cannot afford maybe the kind of produce that they would like to cook regularly. However, having said that, I also believe that it doesn't have to take a lot of time or money to cook healthily. I have quite a strict budget, and I think we kind of eat healthily. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think in the long term, I mean, it's very easy, it's very cheap to make some very basic foods like lentils, or obviously meat is expensive, but you don't have to have meat every single day.
Hmm.
And you can make lentils, and you can make vegetables, and a lot of vegetables, if you buy them in season, there's lots of things you can do with vegetables.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Ronaldo said he was in Manchester and he had the real English breakfast. Um, it was nice
Hmm.
because it had a lot of protein. Yeah, I love a good English breakfast, but I don't think it's healthy to eat that every day
Well, it has a
because
lot of
of
fat as well, doesn't it?
it's the
It
sausages,
has a lot of protein,
the
but it also has a
bacon.
lot of fat. Yeah.
My dad on a Saturday, my mum used to cook him a full English breakfast.
Hmm.
So sausages, eggs, bacon,
Hmm.
some potatoes, and then she took it all out of the frying pan, and there was a big layer of fat in the frying pan. And she took two pieces of bread and put those in the frying pan
Oh,
and gave
lovely.
him fried bread. Yeah,
uh
lovely, but too
It's
many
not
of
really
those.
healthy, no.
Cholesterol, as the expression you used before, Lynn, cholesterol goes through the roof.
Through the roof.
Yeah.
That's right. But it's
Hades.
true that I agree with Ronaldo that I like a full English breakfast. And I
Mm,
do think that you feel it's because it hasn't got a lot of sugar in it. It's because it really is. It's meat and fat.
yeah. It's
And then you
wonderful for a
don't you
hangover.
don't you don't get that sugar spike. If you have something with a lot of sugar in it, then very quickly after 2 hours, when that sugar's gone down, you suddenly feel really hungry. But if you eat things that have a lot of fat or a lot of protein in them, you don't feel hungry.
Exactly.
Um, and it is true that the English breakfast can keep you going for a long time, but it's
Yeah.
like it's an occasional thing. I like the English breakfast, but maybe I have it, I don't know, once a month, or if I go on holiday, I might have it. If I'm in England, I might have it more frequently, but I wouldn't eat it every single day. No.
Very good for hangovers, full English breakfast. Hades'
Hmm.
mother used to say there are hungry children, you must eat and thank God for your food. Yeah, my mum,
My
my
mum did
mum
too.
used to say something very similar.
Hmm. Hmm.
She said, she used to say, there are people starving in Africa. Eat your
Hmm.
food because you
Hmm.
don't realize how lucky you are.
Yeah.
Which is
But
true,
I'd,
isn't it?
I'd also like to add something to that, though. I mean, we laugh about that. And when I was a child, I used to laugh about it and go, well, I don't live in Africa. So, I just don't want it. That's what I used to say. But in actual fact, here's a little anecdote for you. When I lived in Africa, because I lived in Africa for a little while, there wasn't any refrigeration. And the food stuff was very, very were very limited in choice. Yeah, our diet was not exciting at all. It was
Mhm.
very, very limited. And if you wanted to have meat, you couldn't go to the supermarket and buy meat, because where I lived, there was no supermarkets, there was no shops. You had to buy the live animal. And you had to bring the animal home, and you had to kill the animal and eat it. Now, obviously, I couldn't do that. I didn't do that. But I had, there was a lady, an African lady, who would do that. She worked for us, and she would do that. So she would buy the animal. She knew how to kill the animal. And then she knew how to prepare the animal, and then we had meat. And that was the only way I could actually source meat when I was in Africa, because I didn't have the skills to kill an animal. Much less, if I killed the animal afterwards, I didn't feel like eating it, because I had grown up in where we've grown up, where you don't associate the meat with the animal, really.
Yep.
But I have to say, after that experience, I understand that phrase, because every time then when we bought the animal, and it was a chicken, once it was a goat, and you see the animal being sacrificed, I felt it was a disgrace to throw away any meat on my plate, because you've just killed the animal for that. So if you've killed the animal for it, then do the service of eating the
Eating it.
animal, but not just throwing it away, because that would be, I don't know, it doesn't seem to me to be morally responsible. Yeah.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
just kill an animal and then just for fun. You don't kill an animal for fun. You kill an animal if you want to eat it. So I didn't see that connection. So now when I think of that phrase that our parents gave to us, which was, there are hungry children, you should eat it. I think it's also out of respect to the environment, to the animal, or to the food or the plants that you've just got on your plate. We need to consume responsibly. And
Makes a
not
lot of,
and food is it's a responsibility. I think we need to. I'm not suggesting that you eat meat because you don't want to throw anything away, but maybe we should buy less. Yeah, and cook less, make the portions smaller.
or at least make the most out of what we are cooking, and don't throw any food away. I'm definitely
Exactly.
in favor of that. Well,
Yeah.
we are unfortunately out of time, so we want to thank you very much for keeping us company and being here with us. We will save the fitness part of this, I think, Lynn,
And the next
until
time,
next
in 2 weeks'
time.
time.
And in the meantime, I will be trying to get fit so that I can actually talk about it
Well, maybe you should try the
knowledgeably.
diet first. Try the
Well,
diet first.
it goes together. I think it goes together. If you're eating
Uh-huh.
healthily and you're looking after your body, then I think it goes together. So I'll do my best. Before we go, though, I do want to say that tomorrow is the start of my conversation course. So it's great that you're here writing comments, but if you feel you need to improve your speaking and your fluency, then you're very welcome to join the course. There are still a couple of places left on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's 90 minutes each class. And there's another class on Sunday, which is 2 hours and 20. So it's a longer class on Sunday.
Are they the
For
same level, Craig? Is it the same level? Language
They
level?
are strong B2 and C1 level. So if you are in that category, but before you make any decisions, if you're interested, I'd like to talk to you just for about 10 minutes on Zoom to give you all the information, answer your questions. So send me an email. My email address is in the chat. I've just put it in the chat. If you're interested in joining the group and me for this conversation course, send me an email and I will send you more details. But be quick, because we're starting this week. So there isn't much time if you are interested in joining the group. Lynn, if people want to study one-to-one with you,
Yeah. Then
what
they
should
can
they
go to
do?
putitlikethis.com. That's my website. And I've got a page there which tells you some kinds of courses that I offer. But I'm always happy to go on an adventure with people. So if they have a need that I haven't discovered yet, sometimes I teach people to write, or I help them if they have to make presentations, or help them with their pronunciations. But if you have a specific need in English, most of the ones that are on the website, I think, will cover the most general needs. Sometimes I prepare people for interviews, for looking for new work, looking for new jobs, presenting themselves in English, things like that. Have a look, check it out. And if you're interested, then you can get in touch with me.
Okay. And I'll remind you also, if you are a Spanish speaker, go to mansioningles.com where there's lots of stuff free over there for you to improve your English. Free courses, listening material, exercises, everything. And every week we have a podcast at inglespodcast.com. Thank you, Gemma. Always a pleasure to see you here. I'm pleased you enjoyed it. And
Thanks,
we'll be
Emma.
back very soon for another Wednesday live stream. Until next time.
All right, then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.